So let us practice doing the chunking. So it's a way of dealing with or remembering information by separating it into small groups or chunks. Okay? So let us practice. So chunking, I will just paste it right here. So when you say chunking, it's a way of dealing with or remembering information by separating
Mm-hmm.
it into small groups or chunks. So, or pause, okay? So let me just get, uh, okay, here. Let me just, okay. Let me just paste it right here. And we will have a practice, okay, reading
Mm-hmm.
this one in a chunking way or using chunking, okay? So remember where to pause, all right? So you will be able to notice the difference of doing chunking or using chunking or without chunking, okay? Without using chunking. So without using chunking, management processes could easily help companies identify and address this risk. Instead, too many companies take a low-level approach to risk management, preferring to focus on easy-to-solve risks, such as asset protection and health and safety. Mr. Irwin says, risk is dynamic. It changes with the environment. Unless businesses accept this and review risk regularly, they could eventually find themselves in a state of crisis, struggling to survive rather than focused on growth. So that's without using chunking. Okay? So, as you can see, or as you notice, there is no pause and the tone is very different. All right? While using chunking, Irene,
Mm-hmm.
management process could easily help companies identify and address these risks. Instead, too many companies take a low-level approach to risk management, preferring to focus on easy-to-solve risks, such as asset protection and health safety. Mr. Irwin says risk is dynamic. It changes with the environment. Unless businesses accept this and review risk regularly, they could eventually find themselves in a state of crisis, struggling to survive rather than focused on growth. You see, did you notice the difference?
I'm not sure.
So doing chunking, it's a way of dealing with or remembering information by separating it into a small group or chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So for example, management processes could easily help companies. Okay, let me just insert. Uh where is that? Oh, here. Okay. So let me just here. Um, let me just close it. Let me just separate and I will let you read it aloud, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this one. Let me just separate this one. Okay. Identify and address this risk. So instead, too many companies take a low level approach to risk management, preferring okay to focus and easy to solve risk such as asset protection, okay. Oh, so unless businesses accept this, what is happening? Okay. They could eventually find themselves in a state of crisis, struggling to survive. Okay. All right. Okay. So management, you read. Remember where to pause, okay?
Okay. Management processes could easily help companies ident- identify and address these risks. Instead, too many companies take a low-level approach to risk management, preferring to focus on easy-to-solve risks, such as asset protection and health and safety. Mr. Irwin says risk is dynamic. It changes with the environment unless business accepts and risk regularly review risk regularly. They could eventually find themselves in a state of crisis, struggling to survive rather than focus on growth.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Irene. So
Mhm.
that's what you call chunking.
Okay,
So, okay.
I
So by
see.
using chunking, you
Mhm.
can actually separate um, the phrase into small groups, okay, or
Mhm.
chunks. All right. So you will also be able to know where to pause.
Mhm.
Okay. So in that way, you will not be sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, management processes could easily help companies identify and address these risks. Instead, too many companies to take a low-level approach, to take risk management, preferring to focus on easy-to-solve risks such as asset protection and health and safety. Mr. Irwin says risks is dynamic. It changes with the environment. Unless businesses accept this and review risk regularly, they could eventually find themselves in a state of crisis, struggling to survive rather than focused on growth. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Irene.
Okay.
Okay, you're welcome. It was a good practice.